Polymer banknotes are banknotes made from a polymer such as biaxially oriented polypropylene. Such notes incorporate many security features not available to paper banknotes, including the use of metameric inks. They also last significantly longer than paper notes, resulting in a decrease in environmental impact and a reduction of production and replacement costs. Modern polymer banknotes were first developed by the Reserve Bank of Australia, CSIRO, and the University of Melbourne. They were first issued as currency in Australia in 1988. In 1996, Australia switched completely to polymer banknotes. Countries that have since switched completely to polymer banknotes include Brunei, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Romania, Vietnam, Fiji, Mauritius, Canada and Israel. Kuwait is the latest country to introduce polymer currency notes into circulation. History: in 1967, forgeries of the Australian $10 note were found in circulation, and the Reserve Bank of Australia was concerned about an increase in counterfeiting with the release of colour photocopiers that year. In 1968, the RBA started collaborations with CSIRO, and funds were made available in 1969 for the experimental production of distinctive papers. The insertion of an optically variable device created from diffraction gratings in plastic as a security device inserted in banknotes was proposed in 1972. The first patent arising from the development of polymer banknotes was filed in 1973. In 1974, the technique of lamination was used to combine materials. The all-plastic laminate eventually chosen was a clear, BOPP laminate, in which OVDs could be inserted without needing to punch holes. An alternative polymer of polyethylene fibers marketed as TIVC by DuPont was developed for use as currency by the American Banknote Company in the early 1980s. TIVC did not perform well in trials. Smudging of ink and fragility were reported as problems. Only Costa Rica and Haiti issued TIVC banknotes. Test notes were produced for Ecuador, El Salvador, Honduras and Venezuela but never placed in circulation. Additionally, English printers Bradbury Wilkinson produced a version on TIVC but marketed as Bridvec for the Isle of Man in 1983. However, they are no longer produced. In the 1980s, Canadian engineering company AGRA Vadeco and U.S. chemical company U.S. Mobile Chemical Company developed a polymer substrate trademarked as Duranote. It had been tested by the Bank of Canada in the 1980s and 1990s, test $20 and $50 banknotes of which were found auctioned in October 2012. It was also tested by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing of the United States Department of the Treasury in 1997 and 1998, when 40,000 test banknotes were printed and evaluated, and being evaluated by the central banks of 28 countries. Development: polymer banknotes were developed in Australia to replace paper banknotes with a more secure and more durable alternative. The BOPP substrate is processed through the following steps: opacifying a 2 layers of ink are applied to each side of the note, except for an area, S, deliberately left clear. Sheeting a the substrate is cut into sheets suitable for the printing press. Printing a traditional offset, intaglio and letterpress printing processes are used. And, overcoating a notes are coated with a protective varnish. BOPP is a non-fibrous and non-porous polymer. Compared to paper banknotes, banknotes made using BOPP are harder to tear, more resistant to folding, more resistant to soil, waterproof, easier to machine process, and are shreddable and recyclable at the end of their lives. Security features: traditional printed security features applied on paper can also be applied on polymer. These features include intaglio, offset and letterpress printing, latent images, microprinting, and intricate background patterns. Polymer notes can be different colors on the obverse and reverse sides. Like paper currency, polymer banknotes can incorporate a watermark in the polymer substrate. Shadow images can be created by the application of optically variable ink, enhancing its fidelity and color shift characteristics. Security threads can also be embedded in the polymer note. They may be magnetic, fluorescent, phosphorescent, microprinted, clear text, as well as windowed. Like paper, The polymer can also be embossed. Polymer notes also enabled new security features unavailable at the time on paper, such as transparent windows and diffraction grating. Since 2006, however, the development of the paper transparent window technologies by De La Rue and G&D have reduced that advantage. The transparent window where the OVD is located is a key security feature of the polymer banknote. It is easily identifiable, allowing anyone to be able to authenticate a banknote. Because the polymer banknote contains many security features that cannot be successfully reproduced by photocopying or scanning, it is very difficult to counterfeit. The complexities of counterfeiting polymer banknotes are proposed to act as a deterrent to counterfeiters. The substrate BOPP film, metallized or otherwise, is widely available from European and Chinese suppliers, as are the metameric inks used. Adoption of polymer banknotes, trading as Innovia Security. Innovia Films markets BOPP as guardian for countries with their own banknote printing facilities. Note Printing Australia prints commemorative banknotes and banknotes for circulation and has done so for 20 countries. As of 2014, at least 8 countries have converted fully to polymer banknotes: Australia, Bermuda, Brunei, Canada, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Romania and Vietnam. Other countries and regions with notes printed on Guardian polymer in circulation include Bangladesh, Brazil, Chile, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Israel, Kuwait, Malaysia, Mexico, Nepal, Solomon Islands, Samoa, Singapore, Sri Lanka, Thailand and Zambia. Canada released its first polymer banknote on November 14, 2011, followed by the $50 banknote on March 26, 2012 and the $20 banknote on November 7, 2012 and finally, the $10 and $5 banknotes on November 7, 2013. Countries and regions that have issued commemorative banknotes on Guardian polymer include China, Taiwan, Northern Ireland and Singapore. In August 2012, Nigeria's central bank attempted the switch back from polymer to paper banknotes, saying there were significant difficulties associated with the processing and destruction of the polymer banknotes, which had constrained the realization of the benefits expected from polymer banknotes over paper notes. However, President Goodluck Jonathan halted the process in September 2012. The latest country to launch polymer banknotes is the state of Kuwait, on June 29, 2014. The currency notes are available in denominations of 0.250 Kuwaiti dinars, 0.500 Kuwaiti dinars, 1 Kuwaiti dinar, 5 Kuwaiti dinars, 10 Kuwaiti dinars and 20 Kuwaiti dinars. The polymer notes in the Republic of Mauritius are available in values of Rs25, Rs50 and Rs500 polymer notes. The Fiji $5 was issued in April 2013. On December 18, 2013, the Bank of England announced that it would begin producing a £5 polymer notes with a picture of Winston Churchill in 2016 and a £10 polymer banknotes with a picture of Jane Austen a year later. The Bank of England announced the appearance, despite being 15% smaller, will be similar to current banknotes. However, businesses operating in the UK cash industry have opposed the switch to polymer, citing a lack of research as to the cost impact of its introduction. In 2014, Clydesdale Bank announced that it will begin to issue polymer sterling £5 notes in March 2015, to commemorate the 125th anniversary of the building of the Forth Bridge. Timeline of adoptions and withdrawals: 1980s. In 1982 and 1983, the American Banknote Company printed banknotes for Costa Rica and Haiti on DuPont's Tyvek polymers. These had fairly limited release, but did circulate in each country. Additional trial and specimen banknotes were developed for Honduras and El Salvador. Unfortunately, in tropical climates, ink did not bind well to the polymer and the notes began smearing quite badly. In 1983, the British printers Bradbury Wilkinson produced a promotional version of polymer banknotes which were marketed as Bradvec. The Isle of Man issued a £1 Bradvec banknote which circulated from 1983 to 1988. Another British printer, Harrison and Sons, also produced a promotional banknote, but did not have any buyers. In 1988, Australia issued a commemorative $10 banknote, the first of many issues. 1990s. In 1990, Western Samoa issued a $2 commemorative banknote honoring 50 years of service by His Highness Malito Atang Mafalai II. This banknote was placed in circulation and has the distinction of having the longest period of circulation. As of 2006 it had been circulating for 16 years, and has been reprinted with minor variations at least 7 times. In August 1990, Singapore issued a $50 commemorative banknote, and in 2004 issued its first circulating $10 banknote, followed by a $2 issue in 2006. The $5 banknote and the commemorative $20 banknote were issued in 2007. In June 1991, Papua New Guinea issued a commemorative $2 banknote, its first polymer issue. In 1992, Australia began issuing polymer notes for general circulation. In February 1993, Kuwait issued the first of its commemorative banknotes, a 1 dinar issue honoring the liberation of Kuwait during the First Gulf War. In 2001, a 1 dinar note was also issued to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the liberation of Kuwait. In 1993, Indonesia issued its first polymer banknote, the 50,000 rupiah note commemorating 25 years of development. A paper equivalent was also available at the same time. In 1996, Australia became the first country with a full set of circulating polymer banknotes in each denomination, from $5 to $100. In 1996, Thailand issued both a 50 and a 500 baht note commemorating the 50th anniversary of the reign of Bhumibol Adulyadej. In February 1996, Brunei issued 1 ringgit, 5 ringgit and 10 ringgit banknotes. These were the first non-commemorative banknotes issued outside of Australia. In 1997, Thailand issued a 50 baht note as its first polymer note for general circulation. In February 1998, Sri Lanka issued a 200 rupee commemorative polymer banknote to celebrate Sri Lanka's 50 years of independence. In 1998, Malaysia issued a commemorative banknote in conjunction with the 16 Commonwealth Games. It issued a 5 ringgit circulating banknote in 2004. In July 2012 it issued a new series of banknotes, of which the 1 ringgit and 5 ringgit denominations are in polymer. On May 3, 1999, New Zealand released the polymer $20 note. The Reserve Bank of New Zealand switched all of its notes to polymer in the following 12 months, with the $100 note on July 26, the $5 and $10 note simultaneously on October 18, and finally the $50 note on March 20, 2000. In 1999, Romania was the first European country to introduce a full set of circulating polymer banknotes. These included the commemorative 2000 lei note, which was issued to celebrate the last eclipse of the millennium. In 1999, Indonesia for the first time issued 100,000 rupiah polymer note for general circulation. In June 1999, Taiwan issued a $50 note to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the issuance of the new Taiwan dollar. In 1999, the Northern Bank, one of 5 banknote issuing authorities in Northern Ireland, issued a £5 commemorative note celebrating the year 2000. This note was placed in circulation, and was also sold at a premium to collectors with a Y2K serial number prefix. 2000s. In April 2000, Brazil released a 10 real polymer bill to celebrate the 500th anniversary of the Portuguese arrival in America. Casa de Armada do Brasil printed 250 million banknotes, around half the 10 real bills in circulation. In November 2000, the People's Republic of China issued a 100 yuan note to commemorate the millennium. In December 2000, Bangladesh issued 10 Taka polymer notes. In 2000, the Chatham Islands issued the first of 3 sets of commemorative banknotes for the collecting market. On January 1, 2001, Australia issued a commemorative $5 polymer banknote. It commemorated the centenary of Federation. In June 2001, the Solomon Islands issued $2 polymer banknotes, however they reverted to paper notes in 2006. In the summer of 2001, Vietnam issued a 50 dong commemorative banknote. In February 2002, Nepal issued a 10 rupee polymer banknote, commemorating the new King Gyanendra. In 2005 it issued a version for circulation without the commemorative text. In September 2002, Mexico switched 20 peso banknotes from paper to polymer banknotes. 2 more new polymer notes issued in 2006, for the 20 pesos and 50 pesos. In 2003, Zambia was the first African country to adopt polymer banknotes, with 501,000 kwacha denominations. In November 2003, Papua New Guinea issued a 20 kina banknote, and began the process of issuing all denominations in polymer format. The only remaining denomination not in polymer is the 5 kina note. From December 2003 to August 2006, Vietnam adopted polymer banknote in 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 and 500,000 RNG for general circulation, becoming the 4th country to fully convert to polymer notes. In September 2004, the 2,000 Chilean peso bills began to be issued in polymer banknotes. In 2004 it was estimated that there were over 3 billion polymer notes in service. In 2004, the only polymer note for general circulation in Thailand, the 50 baht note issued in 1997, was reissued in paper format. Commemorative notes continue to be issued in polymer format. In 2004, the only polymer note for general circulation in Indonesia, the 100,000 rupiah note issued in 1999, was reissued on paper. In 2005, Papua New Guinea issued the new 100 kina note, its first denomination that was never printed in paper format. In July 2005, Romania became the first country to issue a full second generation of plastic notes of each of its denominations. The notes bearing the same design format as the old notes, but their size brings them in line with Euro banknotes, and are denominated in a reformed currency where 1 new lei equals 10,000 lei. In 2005, Bulgaria issued the first hybrid paper polymer banknotes, denominated 20 leva, featuring 2 plastic windows, and a hologram. In November 2006 Mexico issued a new 50 pesos polymer banknotes. In 2006 CSIRO, the Australian government agency, issued a non-legal tender polymer note to celebrate the 80th year of the formation of CSIRO. These notes were issued and distributed to staff members and at selected public events. On February 28, 2007, Nigeria issued the 20 naira note as polymer banknotes. On September 30, 2009, the Central Bank of Nigeria issued 5, 10, and 50 naira banknotes printed on polymer. On September 29, 2010, a 50 naira note was issued to commemorate the nation's 50th anniversary of independence. In mid-2007, Hong Kong issued the polymer $10 note for a 2-year trial period. In June 2007, Brunei became the 5th country to fully convert to polymer notes. In August 2007, Guatemala issued a 1 quetzal polymer banknote. On November 14, 2011, a 5 quetzal banknote was issued in a polymer substrate. On April 13, 2008, Israel started to issue 20 NIS banknotes, due to the high deterioration of 20 NIS paper banknotes. The Israeli polymer notes are printed by Ariel FAR 1/4 SSLI Security Printing of ZAR 1/4 Ich, Switzerland. On April 15, 2008, Papua New Guinea issued 5 and new 10 kina banknotes for general circulation. 5 kina being the last denomination for Papua New Guinea on polymer. On December 1, 2008, Romania started issuing a revised version of the 10 lei banknote. On May 15, 2009, Nicaragua released new polymer 10 and 20 Nicaragua CA-cubed RDOBA banknotes to replace their paper counterparts. After an announcement from the Central Bank of Nicaragua in 2008 stated that a new 200 cubed RDOBA banknote would be in circulation, it took the country an additional year to prepare its new set of banknotes. A new polymer 200 and 100 CA-cubed RDOBA banknote was first issued on 1 June 2009. In December 2009, a new 50 banknote was released, later followed by a new $500 Canadian banknote that was issued on January 12, 2010. In September 2009, Reserve Bank of India announced that it will introduce 1 billion 10 rupee notes. In September 2009, Central Bank of Chile introduced the new series of the Chilean peso, starting with the redesigned 5,000 pesos banknote. 2010s. In November 2011, the Bank of Canada introduced the Frontier Series $100 polymer banknotes to modernize the currency and reduce counterfeiting. $50 banknotes were put into circulation in March 2012. The $20 note was put into circulation on November 7, 2012 with the $10 and $5 denominations released on November 7, 2013. In June 2010, the Central Bank of the Dominican Republic announced the introduction of a new polymer-based 20 pesos bill. On July 28, 2010, the Reserve Bank of Vanuatu issued a 10,000 VTU polymer banknote to celebrate the nation's 30th anniversary of independence. In October 2010, the Central Bank of Chile announced the redesigned 2,000 pesos that will be on circulation on November 20, as a program to change the old designs and make them more secure. In October 2011, the Banco de Mozambique began printing of the 20, 50, and 100 metameric banknotes on a polymer substrate. On July 16, 2012, the Bank Negara Malaysia put a new RM1 and RM5 polymer banknotes into circulation. On January 2, 2013, the Reserve Bank of Fiji introduced a new series of Fijian dollar banknotes that depict the nation's flora and fauna instead of the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. Among the denominations is the $5 note, which is now printed on polymer instead of cotton paper. They were printed by Dolaru. In April 2013, the Reserve Bank of India introduced plastic polymer currency note of Rs10 on a field trial basis in 5 cities in India. RBI proposed to conduct field trials of Rs10 polymer banknotes in 5 cities: Simla, Kuwait, Jaipur, Bhubaneswar and Mysore. On August 22, 2013, the Bank of Mauritius issued new 25, 50, and 500 rupee polymer banknotes which will circulate in parallel with the existing paper notes of the same denominations. The new polymer notes have almost the same design as the preceding paper banknotes, but contain numerous new security features such as transparent windows showing the image of the dodo, numbers printed with magnetic ink which become fluorescent under ultraviolet light, and swing features printed in iridescent ink, which change to a different color when observed in transparency or when tilted. The 25 and 50 rupee notes are printed by Bertha Technologies on Innovia Securities Guardian substrate, and the 500 rupee note is printed by Dolaru on its Safeguard substrate. External link. On November 22, 2013, the Bank of Lebanon issued a 50,000 livre banknote in polymer to commemorate the country's 70th anniversary of independence. In 2013, the Bank of England announced that it would adopt polymer notes. In 2014, the Bank of Lebanon will issue a 50,000 livre banknote in polymer to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the founding of the Banque du Liban. The Reserve Bank of Vanuatu introduced polymer banknotes in denominations of 200 VTU, 1000 VTU and 2000 VTU. On August 5, 2014, the National Bank of Poland will issue 50,000 20 zloty polymer banknotes to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the formation of the Polish legions. In 2015, Clydesdale Bank plans to issue £2 million £5 notes, which will be printed in polymer. It features a portrait of Sir William Arrol and an image of the Forth Bridge. The Royal Bank of Scotland plans to issue a £5 note, which will be printed on Guy II variant's hybrid polymer substrate. It is issued to commemorate the Ryder Cup. On August 22, 2014, the Reserve Bank of India plans to introduce polymer banknotes next year on a pilot basis and improve security features to defeat the efforts of counterfeiters. Etymology: the use of the term polymer in place of plastic to describe banknotes was introduced on November 1, 1993 by the Reserve Bank of Australia, at the launch of its $10 note. Geoffrey Bentley Johnston and his firm were retained to assist in the launch of the $10 note after the $5 note received a cool reception. Having earlier worked in a firm that designed and constructed synthetic fiber plants, Bentley Johnston recognized the polymer nature of the new banknote and so proposed use of the term. See also: Banknotes of the Australian dollar, references. External links: polymernotes.org by Stein Angstrom Trauss, Currency Note Research and Development Project from the University of Melbourne. Professor David Solomon, a Euro-inventor of plastic banknote, wins 2006 Victoria Prize from the University of Melbourne. Polymer banknotes from Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organisation, Note Printing Australia, InnoviaSecurity.com, Polymer Notes by Thomas Kraus, new Kuwaiti dinar notes released by Kuwait News Agency.